It's more pleasant that way, right? Yeah. Good morning. Hello. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Karen. Hey, Cindy. Hey from Cape Town. That's cool. Isn't that awesome? I always think it's so neat how we can all be on from everywhere. Good morning. Cindy, I love it. You use the little teacup. I love when we made those. I made those emojis, a year, 2 years ago. And I love them, the special members emojis that you get to do. I think they're so fun. And I always forget how to do them and I have to go look it up because I don't remember how to get to my own emojis. Good morning, everyone. I get to have my sweater on today because it is nice and cool in North Carolina. Is it cool at your house, Jennifer? It's so nice here. I told Brandon this morning, I was like, we should have turned everything off and opened all the windows last night because it's so nice. Let me check on this. We have a big prayer request today. So I want to check on the update before I share with you guys. Okay. Awesome. That's amazing. Will be praying during the live. Sorry. So I'm so excited we get to catch up today. Hey, Holly. We had to cancel last week because we had people show up, which I will tell you all about, of course. But now we get to catch up on all that today. Hey, Tiffany, good morning. A balmy 59 in central Pennsylvania. Good morning, Tamika. How are you? Hey, Jenny. Hey, Laura. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's in the 60s here, but it was nice waking up this morning. I'm like, here it is. Pull out the sweaters. It's go time. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, so the biggest news on all of the things is Sabrina, who I have been obviously updating you guys on. And I know many of you know her from the podcast, and she is going to be podcasting here soon because now she is here, which is super duper exciting. Hey, Cheryl, her whole family got moved out from California. And so they arrived a week ago. And after a long journey, obviously moving your entire family across the entire country. But they made it here. And so we've been kind of chaotic all week trying to get all the things done. And of course, everybody's excited. So then everybody's staying up late, nobody's sleeping and all of the pieces, but very excited to get. There's many things we've been talking about wanting to get done, of course, for them and their family. She has got to get into a doctor. She is already seeing the difference in North Carolina healthcare because we're able to take care of some things for her since she's been here. But big prayers for them because they have to get all the pieces put together so she can get in and get all of her health stuff taken care of, which is very exciting to finally be working in that direction. Yes, Natalie, isn't it awesome? I know. And you guys are always, I think you guys are usually always a little bit cooler than us over there, but it's always so nice when you can start to just have the house open all day and do all that. Dimitri, good morning, Dee. We love you. How are you doing? So yeah, Sabrina's here. She has made it. Her whole family is here and starting to get all the things settled and pieces put together. And I guess we could have some really fun series to do because I've been taking my Fly Lady system and stuff that we do and working on putting that together because we went from being a household of 7 to a household of 14 overnight now that they're here. So I spent all day yesterday putting together our Fly Lady rhythm and routine from the system that we use for all 8 children. So, 9 technically. So we have 9. Yeah, 9 technically. So yeah, we have a nice full household. So I'm like, wow, we can do all the big family things now that we have a very full house. So it's been kind of fun getting all that put together. But now we're excited because there's all the other fun things here with you guys that we can start working on. So big praise that they have made it here. Thank you all for all your prayers and everything through that because it was definitely a journey. But I think for them it was cool because as much of a is a huge journey, there's all those bits and pieces where it's a fun adventure too. So that's pretty cool to have all that here. And it's fun because we only know them from this YouTube channel. So it makes it really neat because she started watching years ago when her kids were younger. And then we started this obviously years ago when our kids were younger. And so our kids have kind of grown up alongside of each other, just on opposite coast. So it's kind of cool to see them, get to be together and do all this stuff. So yeah, that's awesome. Welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and open up because we do have some really big prayer requests that I want to get through. And so we'll go ahead and open up so we can do that. All my stuff. Hey, awesome. Welcome. All right. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this opportunity to come together here and to just be this space of gathering all around the world. And we just thank you for the people that you've brought here into this just community and this path. And it's so neat to see that even with all the things we all have going on, that we have this common ground and this common space that we can all gather in. So we just pray for everyone here, those that will see it later, Lord, that you will just be working in our lives and just guiding us and helping us through all of these things that we're facing and all of these just, praises that we have to share, but also the struggles and the trials that we lift up before you. So we thank you and praise you for all of this time of gathering here, this time to read together and just have this time of fellowship with one another. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, let's go ahead. We'll read and then get into all of the requests. We are on Psalm 35, which is ginormous. So if you guys want to follow along, we're in another Psalm of David. This is, I always, of course, the little note. In this lament, the Lord's troubled servant calls for God to see his circumstances and vindicate him. So I love that every week I feel like it's perfect for all the things that then end up kind of coming in, right? It says, O Lord, oppose those who oppose me. Fight those who fight against me. Put on your armor and take up your shield. Prepare for battle and come to my aid. Lift up your spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Let me hear you say, I will give you victory. Bring shame and disgrace on those trying to kill me. Turn them back and humiliate those who want to harm me. Blow them away like chaff in the wind, a wind sent by the angel of the Lord. Make their path dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. I did them no wrong, but they laid a trap for me. I did them no wrong, but they dug a pit to catch me. So let sudden ruin come upon them. Let them be caught up in the trap they set for me. Let them be destroyed in the pit they dug for me. Then I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be glad because he rescues me. With every bone in my body, I will praise him. Lord, who can compare with you? Who else rescues the helpless from the strong? Who else protects the helpless and poor from those who rob them? Malicious witnesses testify against me. They accuse me of crimes I know nothing about. They repay me evil for good, and I am sick with despair. Yet when they were ill, I grieved for them. I denied myself by fasting for them, but my prayers returned unanswered. I was sad as though they were my friends or family, as if I were grieving for my own mother. But they are glad now that I am in trouble. They gleefully join together against me. I am attacked by people I don't even know. They slander me constantly. They mock me and call me names. They snarl at me. How long, O Lord, will you look on and do nothing? Rescue me from their fierce attacks. Protect my life from these lions. Then I will thank you in front of the great assembly. I will praise you before all the people. Don't let my treacherous enemies rejoice over my defeat. Don't let those who hate me without cause gloat over my sorrow. They don't talk of peace. They plot against innocent people who mind their own business. They shout, aha, aha, with our own eyes we saw him do it. O Lord, you know all about this. Do not stay silent. Do not abandon me now, O Lord. Wake up, rise to my defense. Take up my case, my God and my Lord. Declare me not guilty, O Lord my God, for you give justice. Don't let my enemies laugh about me in my troubles. Don't let them say, look, we got what we wanted. Now we will eat him alive. May those who rejoice at my troubles be humiliated and disgraced. May those who triumph over me be covered with shame and dishonor. But give great joy to those who came to my defense. Let them continually say, great is the Lord, who delights in blessing his servant with peace. Then I will proclaim your justice, and I will praise you all day long. Amen. Welcome, Joy from Washington State. We're glad to have you. Isn't it great when you read through these and you see these things? And it's like, I feel like sometimes we feel like people in the Bible are so far, right? Like we could have nothing in common. There's no common thread. And then you read through it and you're like, okay, maybe we have a few things in common. Maybe I can relate to some of this or learn from, how you handled this or that. So yes, big praise in the fact that the Bensons have made it. Sabrina's family is here And yay for them with all of her medical stuff that she is going through, that can start happening. Yay for their family and just like general quality of life, that all of that can really just start to grow. And then in a selfish kind of excited way, yay for all of you here, because so many things that we've wanted to work on, we really just didn't have the manpower to make it all happen. And so now we can start doing some of these things, which is super exciting. Hey, Cheryl over in the UK. Oh, that's awesome, Cindy. Isn't it cool? Because of course, all scripture like fits with scripture. So you can take it all and it goes like you only need scripture to interpret scripture. That's perfect, Laura. So prayers and praises and all of that. I want to share specifically, you guys asked for an update from Kay. Kay posted a picture last night of her kids and her with her husband, Larry. He is, of course, he's the one who had the wrecking ball dropped on him, lost a leg, wasn't supposed to make it. All of these, I mean, just horrible, horrible things he's been facing for months and months and months now. And he's making progress, like bit by bit, still moving forward. So huge praise for that. Of course, very long road ahead. I mean, it's not going to be over anytime soon. His life will forever be altered. But again, bit by bit, right? Day by day, seeing progress being made, which is very, very exciting. So continued prayers and praise for them. I want to ask you all to lift up Tachi and her husband, Brian. Tachi has been here as a part of the community at HMH since the very beginning. I mean, Tachi's been around for forever. I can't remember exactly when, but like since the very beginning. And she's been a part of our AMP church family. We love their family. They come to visit us every single year, at least a couple times, and they're just the best. Tachi texted me yesterday. Her husband, Brian, had a stroke. He literally woke up and couldn't feel half of his body. And so they were in the hospital yesterday. I mean, he's still in the hospital, but like they were in and they're dealing with all of this. So they're working through. It's looking like things are going in the right direction, which is a huge blessing. He's going to need to go to a rehab facility. He's going to have some different things and stuff that obviously have to be done now with, healing from the stroke, but it is looking, she said the doctor was quite optimistic about it all, which is a huge praise because of course, strokes are so scary. And it's just, there's so many unknowns that you don't know, but it is looking good. She says his prognosis is very positive and things are, going in the right direction, which is fantastic. But if you guys could be lifting up Brian and Tachi and their kids in prayer, just as they go through all of that, and the Lord really just works in this, in this process. And right, we all know that the Lord can use all to bring us to that just saving knowledge of him, and really praying for this to just be, this opportunity to really work in his life. And yes, D, exactly. So praying for all of that. Tachi, we love you guys, and anything we can ever do, just let us know, but continuing to lift you all up. So if you guys would all join us in prayer for them, we would definitely appreciate that. I know we've been praying for Holly. We want to continue praying for Holly. She has not been feeling so well, and they're dealing with a lot of really, really heavy things. And so just praying for her as they go through that. And we all know, again, that God will bring about whatever situation needs to be brought about to truly bring all things to his good, right? Like we always go to the story of Joseph. We always go to these stories where it's like, see, you thought all these things were for evil, but look how God used them. And so really just praying for the opportunities that come up and the things that are happening to be like, Lord, use this piece and bring about the thing that you need. And so I'm continuing to pray for Holly and her family as they're going through really, really, really big things, but starting to see those pieces where it's like, Lord, we were over here, but I see how you're twisting this and you're bringing it in a very different direction. And so praying for them and all of that. Sarah, let's use this the first one. Let me just make sure I don't want to skip over anybody. I think most of these comments are us being excited about the weather. Okay, Sarah, we want to be praying for you, for your nephew's finances, and for your mother as she is going through stage 3 lymphoma. Absolutely praying for you all as you go through that. That's heavy stuff. And again, there's so many pieces, and you go, okay, Lord, like, How can that be used? How can that be, for these people? Does it strengthen their faith? Do they go in, does it allow them to share someone else? If there's a way that healing can be brought about, that something, whatever those pieces are that get us to that place, give us those neon lights, show us where that path is, and bring that encouragement through that. Yeah. And like you said, you added there, Sarah, strokes are, like, we were talking about that yesterday, like, Brian is young, he's healthy, like, he's active. You look at all those things and you're like, he had a stroke, right? Sometimes you see something and you're like, oh, I know strokes can be so random, but like, I see there's a catalyst, right? Like, there's something there that, okay, it's really hard, but I see that that's why that happened. And then when it happens sometimes, and some people, it seems just so unexpected. And you're like, how did that happen? And it can be so scary. But praying for your mom as she goes through that lymphoma and everything, and for your nephew as well. Absolutely. Yes. Cheryl, lifting up please pray for BP. So childhood cancer. It's a 10-year-old with lymphoblastic lymphoma, 10 years old, dealing with that. Absolutely. We will be praying for all of that, because that's just, it's so hard, right? Living in the sinful, fallen world and having to deal with the actual effects of why is that happening, right? Why is that what's going on? Oh, Tachi, good. You did pop in. We are all covering you in prayer and talking all about that. So sending you guys the biggest hugs today. And glad you're getting some good news today, right? As you go through that. Absolutely. So Cheryl, yes, we will absolutely be praying for that 10-year-old with lymphoblastic lymphoma. And I think it's hard sometimes because you see some people who see things and respond to it. Okay, right? There's that positive outlook of, we know God works all things, and it's the process we go through and the testimony that he's writing in our lives. Well, other people might harden their hearts, because of different things. And so it's, how can you use this, Lord? Like, bring about healing, bring about the strength. How can this be used? How can this be used to glorify you through whatever it is that we're going through? It's all in how we look at it and go about it. Tiffany, let's pray for a young autistic friend, Reese, 14 years old, just found out he has what is with the leukemia? Absolutely. He started aggressive chemo day after diagnosis. Right? You look at this, you're like, why this over and over and over again? We see these things. That is heartbreaking. Absolutely, Tiffany, we'll be praying for them. Aggressive chemo day after the diagnosis. I mean, praise that they found it and they can get in and get going, right? Like, there's always the good piece of it. And then now let's be praying for Reese, right? That, like, that healing, but that growth and that strength and all of that, for the Lord to provide that through the process. Yeah. Tamika, let's lift up your best friend's brother. He's been sober from drugs. He recently had a relapse and is struggling with addiction again. Addiction is so difficult, and so many of us really do struggle to understand that and understand that it is so difficult and it is a process. So yes, we'll be praying for your best friend's brother, and that for whatever needs to happen to bring about that true sobriety and that true healing and that true peace that can be so difficult, to find and to put together. Absolutely praying for them and the whole family in this, because it's not just the addict that it affects, it's the entire family. And that can be so difficult for everybody to go through. So absolutely praying for them and all of that. Oh, yes, Tachi, thank you. I'm glad you got to pop on. You go and be with your family and do what you need to do, and keep us posted if there's anything. But we love you guys, and we'll keep praying for all of the pieces and all of that. Let's see, praying for the timing of your next child. I have a 13-month-old and a 10-year-old stepson and need discernment for God's will in our family. Absolutely praying for you guys. I think it's interesting. Birth order and just spacing and all that, I think, is so fascinating. And our spacing, like, in timing of our family, is very weird. We have big gaps at the end and then close in the middle. So, like, we don't even fit any sort of, like, pattern or system. But it's interesting then, like, Sabrina's family being here, she had all of her kids. We both have 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy. Hers are all really, really close together, where we have bigger spaces and like big bookends. And I think what's so fascinating is I know for a while I really worried about timing and spacing and like there has to be a system, there has to be an order, there has to be a pattern. But what's so neat is I feel like you find out that whatever combination God gives you has like amazing benefits. And it might be different than my benefits, right? Like I have benefits in this way. I notice Sabrina's family has benefits in that way, and your family will have benefits in your way. And yet they're all benefits, right? Like there's always the trade-offs, like some things that were really, really difficult for her are really, really easy for me. But then things that are really, really difficult for me are really, really easy for her, right? Like there's always the trade-offs and the back and forths. But I think it's neat to see because you're right. Like you look at it, you're like, okay, what's our discernment? Like, what's the best that we should do with what the Lord has given us, right? Like, here's our dynamic. What's the best that we can move forward? And whatever it ends up being is always the best that it should be because the right pieces and the right things that need to be for your family are absolutely going to be for your family. And I don't know, I just think it's so fascinating that we want to be discerning and we want to be intentional, of course, but it's so vastly different from one to the next, right? Like I used to always think it had to be 3 years, like that had to be what it was. None of my kids, like I never once got that. It never once was what happened, but yet exactly what happened is exactly what needed to happen, right? Like when you actually sit down and look at it. So I absolutely praying for your family as you sit down, you're like, okay, what are the right pieces? What are the right things? So yes, we'll be praying for you guys and all of that. And hey, Kaylee, I saw you on there. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, it is, right? Because you look at all the other people and the other things you do, and it's like we all want to do the best. I mean, come on, homeschool, whatever it is that you're doing, you're like, I want to do the right thing. But then you see somebody else who's doing it this way and somebody else who's doing it that way. And you're like, ooh, am I doing the wrong thing? Because they're doing it that way and they're doing it that way. And I'm not doing it either of those ways. But then somehow it's just always like my oldest and my youngest have the sweetest, closest relationship. They've got like a 14-year gap or what, like they have a massive, massive gap between them. They're the bestest of buddies and have been like since she was born. She as a toddler would choose to go snuggle her brother before she took her nap. Like that was her chosen person. So every day my little toddler would go into her teenage brother's room and snuggle on his lap to take a nap. Like that was the routine. That is what she did because her and her brother were, and it's so funny because you see this big old teenager, and he's like, oh, with this little tiny sister, carrying her in and doing the thing, but they just are best buddies. And she even still to this day, because our girls in the middle are closer in age, sometimes they'll be doing something and there's then this big gap where she's much younger than her sisters. So sometimes they'll be going off and doing something and she will still go to her brother's room to snuggle or to hang out with him or, snuggle up next to him while he's doing whatever it is he's doing that, a 19-year-old kid is doing. And she's like, ooh, okay, I'm going to go hang out. The girls are off doing their thing. They don't really want to play whatever she's doing. So she's like, okay, where's Bubba? She goes and finds her brother and that's like her person, to go and do the thing, where I was kind of nervous because like, wow, he's had these other sisters and, like they're so much older by the time she came around and gosh, it just worked. We probably could have never planned it that way. Wow, Tiffany. Tiffany, bringing up your thing with, he just got sick a week before starting school. My husband was it senior year it happened or junior year with Jesse?
It was our senior year.
It was senior year, yeah. Senior year of high school. Their one buddy, there's like a crew of the kids that were all like the guys, right? They were just all really close. And he kept getting sick in class, just wasn't feeling good. And one day in class, he just started coughing and there's blood in it. It just wouldn't stop. Kid had massive cancer. And it was horrible. We went through all senior year with him in the hospital, gone, being sick, chemo, right? All the surgeries, all the things. Couldn't even walk at graduation, right? Like, so they all, it was like all this stuff. Now he's the healthiest kid, he's healthy, married kid, off living his life, doing all the things. But it was like he was fine. And then all of a sudden he just wasn't. And you're like, how did that happen? Right? Like it just overnight. So yeah, you look at those stories and it's all those pieces of your testimony that God's writing. Oh, Tiffany, that's so neat. Look at almost a 10 years difference there with it. It can all work out. Hey, another one from Southern California. That's where we're originally from. So welcome. Hello. It was so fun. I think one of our first or second, like when we first started doing these lives, somebody was on who literally lived where like I was born and where my dad still lives, out in Southern California in the middle of nowhere. She's like, oh, you'll probably never have heard of this. And then something like I've absolutely heard of it because I was born in that town and like my dad still lives there. Isn't that cool? Like the small world of this where you're like, hey, look at that. Oh, so Kaylee, praying for your knee, whatever it is that you have going on. And look at that. Fasting blood sugar is going down. And I'm thrilled about that because we have most of us have been jumping on the carnivore train because I've been sharing about, I'm telling you, I know it's silly, but we felt so much better and noticed so many different things. So I know many of you have been trying out and doing that and putting it together because it is like when we start feeling better and healing physically, right? We have these different things. It's amazing how all those other pieces, right, just start to get so much better. And the next thing you know, you're like, wow, it's nice to not feel tired or, like inflamed and hurting and, all those different things. It's amazing what can happen when we all start feeling better, huh? We've been talking about that. Sabrina's family is from Northern California, where it is still triple digits. Nobody wants to go out and like do lovely things and have this wonderful day when it's too hot. Like you are just miserable. And so when it stays like that for months and months and months out of the year, yeah, you're right. It's kind of hard to be like super optimistic and like go get her and we're going to do all of the things. But then when it's nice out in those pieces, right, you start feeling better and it's like, oh, look at this. This is lovely. I can be like, enjoyable and do all of the things because I don't feel like I'm melting. Yeah, 106. Oh, that's awful, Erica. Yeah, we're from Southern California, so we remember what life was like with those things. Like I remember it. We lived it until like we hit our 20s. So I get it. But I don't miss it whatsoever. And that's what makes us go, ooh, I really love that we live out here now where that never has to be the thing that we do because I don't like doing that. Yeah. And I think it is, right? So we started noticing that I am seeing immense benefits still taking Primal Queen, like just all these different ways that you start feeling better. So when you do have a day that like, you just don't sleep right for whatever reason, or, I can tell if I've eaten certain things, I'm like, there it is, like you can tell the different pieces, but then it's like, I used to feel that way all the time. I used to every day not sleep great, not feel great, get tired, have this hurting or that hurting or whatever. And now when it does happen, I'm like, oh, that's that feeling I used to always feel. And now I don't have to feel it all the time. That's kind of funny how that works out. Oh, and Lori, look at that. I just saw Cheering. So you're just south of us in Charleston. And yeah, Jennifer grew up down in that area. She's up in North Carolina now. But isn't that cool? Look, again, small world of like, oh, what are the odds that, everybody's here? Yep, down in the Mojave Desert. So we were out, so like Joshua Tree National Park area is where like we grew up out there. And then you go down to like Palm Springs where it's always way hotter down there. And then it's humid because they've like created their own ecosystem. But you're out in the desert where it's really hot. You have two seasons, really, really hot, or it gets really, really cold. There is no in between. And then we came out here to where it's like beautifully all 4 seasons, but like they're mild. So like, yes, it gets hot, but it never gets like that hot, and it gets cold, but it's never like that cold. And so for us, we're like 4 seasons. I didn't know this existed. Like I thought fall were like leaves change colors and like all of those things. Like that's something that happens in the movies. That's not like a real thing that happens. So when we moved out here and we saw piles of leaves like in people's yards, we were like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Like there's actually piles of leaves and all these cute, wonderful things that happen. It's fascinating. But then I think it's interesting, right, when we see people in Europe, because of course, as Americans, I think we all look to Europe and we're like, it's Europe. Like, how do you not like just swoon? It's everything's like a storybook, but I think it is so neat when you see those things. And I mean, America is crazy in that way that it is so large with so many like vast differences that you can go through. Yeah, Virginia for 2 years. Oh, Maine for 7. Going to New England is like totally we traveled quite a bit as kids. Like we would go on big trips. So like West Coast, yep. Across the country, we did that. A lot of Southeast, obviously, all of that. But the Northeast for me is one of those like to go up and get to spend time up there and visit. The winters scare me, but to go up there and spend time is just so exciting. Like I would absolutely love to get to do that. So like Maine for 7 years. Yes, please. Like that would be so fun. Yeah, cozy, cloudy days. And that's, I think, a joy of homeschool because, hey, good morning, Erin. Joy of homeschool for us, like if we have a cozy, rainy, like we're like, oh, no rushing, no fast-paced anything, like cozied up around the couch, maybe watching a documentary or like baking something, like absolutely that becomes exactly what we're doing that day. And you guys will all see it because I'm already like, I wonder, it's not cool enough yet, but it's already that piece is like, ooh, we get to open the fireplace. And then mornings become sitting at the fire with a cup of coffee. It's like everything little kid me growing up in a hot desert like dreams of. Yes, there's still things that you can bake even on keto and carnivore. So don't worry, Kaylee, that will absolutely come out. Tiffany, so we come from the land of massive earthquakes and fires, and that's just what you have. You have earthquakes and fires. Like, that's not weird. That's what happens. So then we come out here and we were like, tornadoes, hurricanes, like I don't know what to do with that. Luckily for us, we're far enough in west in like in the mountains that like we get rain from hurricanes, but not like hurricanes, and the mountains break up tornadoes, so it's never actually like super like threat of tornado. But isn't it funny the things that like scare you? Like for me, I think of the Northeast, I think of all the snow, and I'm like, oh, that's scary. I wouldn't know what to do with that. That's so scary. But people up there are like, what are you talking about? It's just snow. Down here, you get like an inch of snow and the whole world shuts down. I love it because then it's just a cozy, wonderful snow day coming from the desert, right? Snow is very, very exciting. But you people in the Northeast would be like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, why did everything close down? Because you have a dusting of snow. Nope. Down here, it all shuts down. We want to be continuing to lift up Jennifer. She has an unsaved daughter, Christine. They have been going through so much, and it just, our mama hearts hurt so bad, right? When you see our kids and they're older and you can't just like fix all the things and do all of the stuff. And that's so difficult. And their family's been going through so much. And especially when you're watching your unsaved child go through things, and knowing and trusting, Lord, use what Brandon got an ad on his, use whatever it takes to bring this person to that saving knowledge, right? That is always the prayer. Lord, whatever it takes to bring them to a saving knowledge. That's what we pray for our loved ones that don't know the Lord. And so praying for them as they're going through this, and for the whole family, right, that's having to watch this, for the siblings watching their sibling doing these things that just hurt your heart, so bad to watch. And so continuing to pray for Christine and all of your family, really, for you and your husband as you guys are watching all of that, and then for her, she's going through all of that. So absolutely continuing to pray for her. And Cheryl, praying for you. God's breaking and guiding me. Longtime Christian, been backslidden for most of my adult life. You're 46, married with 4 children. I want to be open to hearing God and doing. And isn't that what's so amazing is all of us have our testimonies. All of us have our process, whatever, it is. But then you see those points, and I think it's so cool. And that's what I think is so neat about like this community on here and sharing is all of us are coming from a different walk, a different place in our life, a different age, a different season, a different, whatever it is. But yet there's this common thread that God has used because his truth is timeless. That's why we just did biblical womanhood, right? Timeless truth for modern women, because the truth remains the same. So regardless of where we're all at, regardless of what season, what situation, what whatever, it's like, Lord, here it is. Like, you use this piece, this middle ground piece that then this community can go, that piece, yes, that's a thing that I might be in a different season than you're in, and you're in a different season over there. But look at this piece now that brings it together. And now I think it's great that there are the older women to lift up the younger women, and the younger women to come in, and you know what I mean? Like, you see all of those pieces that come together, and it's like, Lord, look how cool that is. Like, you used all of that. We don't all have to be in the same space. We don't all have to have the same thing. My favorite is when I see women that are older that leave these comments and they're like, you're right, because I did this, right? And that wisdom and maturity comes in, and it's like, that's so smart. That's so encouraging, right? Thank you for sharing that advice or that whatever. And then sometimes you'll have younger women that come on that they're like, I'm just starting this. I don't know. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, I can show you all these things because, right, my kids are older and your kids are little or whatever it is. And the same thing with just like that spiritual maturity part of it, where it's like, it doesn't matter what age you are, right? Like, I'm a new Christian, or I'm a new this, or I was here, for me, I was kind of that way where I was always raised in it, but it wasn't until I was in my 20s that like it really clicked and it really came together, and then everything really, really changed. So I think that is really neat to see and to have that. So that's awesome. I love that we can hop on and do this all together. Yeah, Tiffany, snow doesn't scare me. It's hurricanes and tornadoes. I know. Yeah, it's September. Go away, summer. we're going to warm up a little bit here later this week, but I'm like, all right, come on, like, wrap up summer. September's here. Like, let's move on. Let's get solidly into fall. I love that. We took out all our fall decor, even though it's going to be 100 degrees. Mentally, we're just going to start preparing. I love that. Oh, Erin, you're so sweet. I'm so glad you could come and join. See, because that's the part that's so fun. Like, and we've put out so much stuff that I think it's cool because I've shared for almost 7 years now. So you guys can quite literally watch me go through those processes. So now there's so much of a library that, like, if you're just starting or you're just that, then there's totally series that were me when I was doing those pieces, where now I might be in this piece. So we're talking more about these things, but like all of it exists in this like massive catalog, which I think is really neat to kind of have out there. Yeah. Oh, wow, Tiffany. Yeah. So we're right. Sabrina's family just got here and they come from Northern California. And so totally different atmosphere. And they were asking about stuff. And I was like, yeah, like we get the rain from the hurricanes, which sometimes can be severe, but it's not a hurricane like what you see on TV of like, the guy standing on the coast with everything, palm trees flying by. But same thing with tornadoes. Like, we live in the mountains, so you really don't have like tornado alley tornadoes, right? Where you have these like massive big things. But yet in our area, like there have been some, like they're not massive, but there are some, right? So you get this crazy thing. Our kids love weather and love storms. So they love when it gets like extreme out. They're like, this is so awesome. And they watch the radar and learn all the things and do all the stuff. But yeah, every summer, every once in a while, you might have one come through. I have heard from Holly Kaylee. We were just talking about her a little bit ago, I think it's right before you hopped on, because she's still lots of things, lots of pieces, but I almost feel like they're seeing where, you go through like the really, really difficult time and you're like, Lord, how is this ever going to work? How are you ever going to make something right? Like, how are you ever going to, have something good come out of this? But then you start seeing the little pieces start emerge of like, ooh, that might be the thing, or that you are using, that you got my attention, that you're working through, that you're whatever. So praying for them, prayers for health and healing, and a lot of still really, really, really big pieces that have to be worked through, healed, absolutely keep praying. But I feel like they're starting to see some of those pieces come up of like, oh, wow, Lord, look what you're doing. Look how you're working. Look how, all those little things, those little things. Sometimes they're really teeny tiny. Sometimes they're really big. I think for them, they've kind of got a mix of both. So long road ahead, a lot of pieces to still heal through, work through, go through. But big prayers for them and some big ones, kind of health related, for all of that just praying for it. Hey, Lisa, good morning. No worries. I'm glad you could join us. Yeah, Tiffany, how awesome, right? Like one step up from midnight, but it is, I think it is so wonderful. I miss my grandparents. Most of my grandparents have passed. I have a grandpa left, but like, I love that. Like I had a great grandmother that I got to grow up with that I could always go and ask questions or learn things or just hear her like 2 cents, like her tidbits. And I think it is so cool because you can learn so much. And so I think it is wonderful. And I think that's where a lot of people do a disservice because they kind of group in our society, we group everybody by like gender and age and, the kids go here, the adults go there, we kind of break everything up. And sometimes that can be helpful in certain situations, but I like kind of doing it all together. And so like kids and right, everybody kind of come because then the younger ones learn from the older ones and the older ones even learn lessons from the younger ones. And yeah, you know what I mean? Like we all have our pieces and our wisdom and our different experiences and just gifts and skills that we naturally have that we can like combine together. And I think that's really cool to have the ability to learn from one another in that and to have those other ones. And I know sometimes people leave comments on videos and I'm like, that was genius. Like I never even thought of that, but you're right. If you take that and you just do this, that's an awesome idea. Thank you for that. Like, I love that, so now like, and then all of us can learn from it, and see that and be like, ooh, you're right. This might work for you and that works for me. But if I did that with that, that's a good idea. So I think it's cool to have that sort of community here that we can all kind of glean, from one another. Oh, high of 102 today. Don't here where we are now, low 90s are the like peak summer. Like we had to go to Texas earlier this year. And I mean, it was pretty hot for them, like what they're having. But I was like, that heat, again, from Southern California out in the desert, I know what heat looks like. I don't miss it at all. Because then you get it again and you're like, oh, it's hard. Yeah. So hopefully you start to get some fall showing up for you soon because I think we're like 60 something right now. Oops. Oh, wow. Tachi's not still on here. She was on here a minute ago. I text her. You guys saw me when I was texting her earlier to get the prayer request. I hit the record button and have been recording this whole live for her. You're welcome, Tachi. I'm going to delete that. So embarrassing. I totally have been sitting here. I just dropped my phone real fast because I was trying to hurry so I could pay attention to you guys. I've been voice noting this whole thing for her. I'm going to close out my phone. So I was trying to check the weather. Yeah, we're like in the mid 60s now that I'm voice recording our entire life for her. Sorry. Yeah, Kaylee, you're right. Texas heat, man. Like, right? Like I know like the heat from Southern California out in the desert is not the same as heat out here in the Southeast or even like the Florida Keys. We worked in the Florida Keys for a long time. Heat in the Florida Keys during the peak of summer versus heat in, the desert of Southern California, not the same thing. So being used now to like Western Carolina mountains, going to Texas, not the same thing. Yeah, showed your husband how to harvest and butcher a chicken. It was hilarious. Tiffany, I can imagine, right? Like it's just a different life, right? So you don't come from these things and you go there and you're like, what? Oh, wow. All the fires. Yeah. So California, we're used to fires. Fires every year. Like that's just what happens. It was crazy. So like we were tracking Sabrina's family left Northern California, but going through Idaho and kind of, Montana, kind of going through the northern line there across. And it was like all of a sudden they hit this point where things were green and there were no longer any more fires. Where the first part of the trip, it was smoky, red, bad quality alert coming from like Redding area out. And then in one spot, they literally are driving, there are fires burning on both sides of the freeway, as they're like on their way out. And you're like, And I'm like, out here, do we have fires? Sure, sometimes, but they never can really get out of control like that because we just have rain far too often. Like it just gets far too wet for there. Like, yes, there can be a fire. And we've had some, bad ones in some of our like national forests and things like that. But it never really gets to those levels because we just get far too much water for it to really, last like that. But that air quality, so praying for you guys here because the air quality stuff, when you have to deal with that all the time, it's so difficult. Yeah, I'll take desert heat, Gulf of Mexico humidity. It's two different worlds. Although sometimes it was so hot when we had to just go out to California. We landed in Palm Springs it was so late and you walk out and the wind is it's like a blow dryer is just like on your face all day. And I'm like, okay, I'll take some humidity to massive blow dryer on my face and just, like hot, dry your skin out. But it's so funny when you go and you're like, whew. Yeah, the sunburns are different. We went to Dodger Stadium. We went to a game while we were out there and it was like, oh yeah, forgot about this. Help, I'm sunburned. Yeah, you get to it. Yeah. Isn't it funny how that works? But I think that is, yes, go Dodgers, obviously. Have to have that. But it is so funny how, and I think that's neat. I love there's one guy, I've seen this like reels, you just get online, but he's from the UK and like came over here and he like makes like funny things, but like back for people in the UK where he's like, how we make fun of Americans about how like they're not cultured. Have you guys ever come to America? It's huge. Like they might not be cultured, but they're like them cultured because do you understand how much culture actually is in between this like massive, massive space? It is kind of crazy how just like, yes, we're just traveling around here, but there really are that many differences and that much space to go through. So it is kind of funny, when you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, so maybe we're not super awesome and get to travel a bunch of different countries, but like just staying within our own, you can cover a lot of ground. There really is a lot of difference. Carowinds. Oh, wow. So we obviously have been in North Carolina. We've been here for like 15, 16, something. So we've been here for quite a while. We used to drive by Carowinds like every day. Like we used to live over in that area. Never once have been there, but I know what you're talking about. Yes, to go there all day, no sunscreen. Like we never wear sunblock. Our kids do have very olive skin. Like our kids don't burn. Like they'll just tan beautifully. It's wonderful. There is a huge, huge difference between being out here all day and like you're good, you're fine. Like it's not the going out, like even like California, like going out and you're like, it totally hits different. It's very, very different. Yeah. I'm Polish. So my skin versus like my husband and then my children now, totally different. Yeah. Chicken and waffles, very different up north and down south, but I think it is so neat when we see those things. Yeah. That's what, all the family now here from California. And they're like, why is everything so fall? I'm like, because it's fall time. What are you guys talking about? It is definitely fall time now. And in California, it is not, fall time. Oh, blessings from Italy. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you could join us. See, because I think of stuff like that. I'm like, I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to Italy. Like, I want to come to the UK. I want to see all these cool things you guys get to go see. I think that's so awesome. So at least here, while we're here, if we don't get to meet on this side of heaven, that's okay. At least we have here that we can all gather and come together and get an opportunity to get to connect in that way. And Kaylee, that might be the name of it. It's one of those that like I've seen before, but I don't really get on and like watch stuff, but like, how you see things. So that I think that might've been something like that sounds familiar, but it cracks me up every time because it's someone from the UK, right? Who shares stuff where I look at anything over there and I'm like, oh, Italy, the UK, right? It just, everything looks so like magical and beautiful. And, all of those things, I would just love nothing more than to live over there and go to all the places and see all the things. But then it is fun watching him where he's like, okay. Like Holly is in the UK. And so her and her family, they'll talk about how neat things out here sound. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you live in England. Like, do you know how cool it is where you live? Like, you have all the cool things. We don't have anything cool. Lost in the pond or something. Oh yeah, maybe. It could be. I'm horrible with remembering the names of things. So, yes. So update, kind of wrap us all up. I ended up having nothing ready for you guys this week. I'm trying to get this week's carnivore update ready. Their family was traveling, but things changed, plans changed, stuff kept happening, and that's life, right? That's how that works. And then it's like everything just went all at once because like so many things are happening. It's all good things, but it's just so many things. And I finally was like, I am going to make myself crazy trying to get videos out. We're just going to take next week off because there's literally our house went from 7 people to 14 people overnight. And so there's a lot of pieces, but it means we're putting all of our pieces together. We keep telling the kids this. None of us are sleeping on our normal schedule because everybody's excited. We're exhausted, right? All of the different things. It's okay. It's all going to come together. I am so excited because we have had so many things we have wanted to do. Our chatty coffee dates, but so many more things that we've been talking about. But when our team, really our HMH team, right? Because there's a lot of people, but behind the scenes that do stuff to make all of this work. It's really hard to do when you're on different coasts and then they're packing and they're moving and all of this stuff is happening. So we're like, once you get here, we are going to sit down and we are going to reevaluate. So again, if anybody has any suggestions, anybody has anything they would like to see, now is the time because I have a lot of ideas. And yes, I am so excited to start doing chatty coffee dates again. I am so excited to do lots of different things. And I think you guys are so amazing and like, we can't wait to like grow the community and like do all the stuff here. Carnivore baking. Yes, Kaylee, I see you. Because it's like all of these pieces and all of these things. And it's like, ooh, we can do all of this stuff, So yes, any suggestions and ideas, let me know. Post them in the Telegram app or whatever. That's an easy place to see the stuff. But yes, share the things because we are really, really excited to get going on all of this stuff. Yes. Yeah. It is like, I know Holly has said this like to that, Kaylee. She's like, you guys have alligators. Like that just fascinates me. Like that is so crazy. And we're like, well, yeah, when we lived in Florida, we had to teach the kids, like, don't go in any body of water. I don't care how small you think it is. Like we've literally seen alligators in the craziest of places. Like that's just how that happens. But yeah. Honestly, Kaylee, Telegram or Geneva. So Telegram I know is public for everyone, Geneva too. And I'm working on some systems with her now. So that way I can do better at keeping up at the things because I do have many things and then I get overwhelmed and I have a hard time keeping up on all of the stuff. So I am a little behind on doing that too, and we're going to get better at that. We are going to start our next series for the people in the collective, our membership group. We just finished Biblical Womanhood, and I know some people started behind. So I was like, well, what if I give you guys a couple weeks for a little bit of a breather? Because I know not everybody was like some of us finished this last week, but some started behind. So I wanted to kind of give everybody a moment to like finish up, which is fair. I am going to start now putting together because basically what we're going to do now for the next series in the membership group, we made the membership group because there's some people who really want to dig in and grow and like do all of the stuff where the general audience on YouTube kind of just wants to peruse and see, and that's fine. But some of us really wanted to dig in and do stuff. So we created the membership group. So that way, for those of us who like really want to get into the stuff, we have a space for that. And so we're going to do the next one is basically going to be more so like Biblical Womanhood is really digging in scripturally and the understanding and the growth, right? Like that heart piece of it. And so to couple with that, all of us who are finishing Biblical Womanhood, we're going to go into the next series where it's going to be more of the like, okay, day by day, practical application, growing and all of that and applying that while continuing, yes, to still tend the heart part of it. How do we do that? That's what we're going to move into next. So I am putting that all together and I will share that with you guys. but we're just giving like a couple weeks, just a little breather in between. So for those that are still doing the stuff, kind of give everybody a moment. So that way we're not just like, shoom, into the next one. Cause often I will do that. I will just go from one to the next. And then everybody's like, okay, hold on. I'm almost there. So that's what we're doing next for that, which I will give you guys all the details about. Really excited. Yes, there are different membership tiers. It's like 5, 10, 20. And then there's one that was like lower than that. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it is. I'm so sorry. $5 will get you access to all the membership stuff. So that is, you get access to the entire series library of every series we've ever done. And we've been doing series for a couple of years now. You get a private website that has all of them linked for you. You can do whatever you want to do. Every month that you're a member, you get access to everything. You can have it all for $5. And then $10 is you get access to that, but you also get additional additional accesses. So as you scroll through the community tab, and we're coming up with systems to fix some of these things, because I will be honest with you guys that there's some of these things that me being a one-man show just can't keep up with. That's why we have a team now that is here, and we can like get more of these things going. But you can go through the community tab, and as a $10 member, you're making a donation to the family so that we can continue to focus on building these things up for you, is what it is. Members asked us years ago, is there a way that like we could make a regular donation to help with this? Kind of like a Patreon type thing. I just use YouTube because they offered that feature, and we do everything on YouTube. So we just kept it all in one spot. We really appreciate you guys. And when you make a donation, that's what keeps like our lights on and all the stuff on, so we can continue to build the series and the teachings and do all the stuff. That's what it is. So at $10, you can scroll through that community tab, and you will have essentially just more things opened up to you. Wallpapers, background, like just fun little like digital goodies. You will get all of those just kind of popping up for you as you scroll through, and there will be more new ones coming out. That, again, process we're working on. Thank you all for being so loving and graceful. I'm trying to keep it all together. And then the $20 donation, again, more things will open up to you. And that is the one that we had some issues. We're revamping a little bit. I've actually been talking to my mom about it, because that is where I want to send you an additional little snail mail goodie fun pack, something physical. So $10 will give you additional digital bonuses, and $20 will give you additional physical bonuses, if that makes sense. So, oh, good. You got to be on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Differences between those, but you get access to massive libraries of all kinds of things in there. And then the bottom one right there, Glinda, the Q&As, that which we're going to start again because Sabrina's here. We were doing like chatty coffee dates, but the first one of the month, we were doing them live. So we had been doing chatty coffee dates where we took your guys' questions that you left on comments and stuff like that. We would gather questions, and I would sit down, we would answer them and talk about them. But then we were hosting the first month, we were doing it live. So that way you get like, come join us, like grab your coffee, come sit down with us, like let's hang out and do Q&As together. And so that was giving people like, hey, do you want to come and do that? So that way we could all sit down and just kind of connect a little bit more. I think that's really, really fun. And so that's what that is. Kaylee, send me a message, because that would be amazing. It's so wonderful doing this stuff. And for us, we do it because we love it and we think it's so much fun. And like, we want to connect and really build the things that matter. But I don't actually have like a massive staff back here to do all the things. It's like me. And then it was me and Sabrina started helping me. And then, it's like but it's like, this is why people that do these things, literally it's a company and they have a whole team of people, because it's a lot of things to do. But like, I have to keep my priorities in order. So it's my relationship with the Lord, my husband, my children, my home. I have to do that. And so unfortunately, it means that sometimes I have to set these things down because I take it seriously. And so I can't be telling you guys, hey, keep your priorities in order. And then I'm not doing it, because then I'm wrong. And I go before the Lord with that. And so sometimes it means I have to go, okay, I'm really, really sorry. I really wanted to finish this, but I'm going to have to hold on a second because I have to get my walk right first so that I can do something else, if that makes sense. Kaylee, can you send me an email? That would probably be, because I have to sit down and do that. You can do hello@heavenlymindedhome.com and send me an email there, and I'll keep an eye out for it. And the carnivore challenge, yes, I said September. We'll start September just because that's a new month. You guys can sign up for the carnivore challenge. It's linked in all of the videos, so you guys can go and see that. When you put your email in, it will give you a link so you can get all the resources. I said September because that's a new month, but do it at your pace. So if you get paid this Friday, start it this Friday. And when you can go grocery shopping and do all the things or whatever the thing might be. If you find this next week or next month, and that's when you want to start it then. So I'm doing it, and I have resources in there with like our menu plan. I'm starting off with the one that I already made with kind of our summer menu, since we're kind of wrapping that up. So all of those things are in there with different like grocery shopping lists and stuff like that, different videos and things like that you can go through. But I wanted it to be I've learned since doing YouTube, structured enough that there's a structure, but flexible enough that whenever you find this or whatever it is, you can easily hop in. So as soon as you're ready to get started, get started. But if you need to, if you don't like black coffee, I don't do black coffee. I will do milk or like a little bit of cream. I do a whey protein powder is what I personally do, that I have linked in there. I do that with just regular milk, but milk or a little bit of cream, you can totally do that. Some people do butter. I never liked the butter. For me, some people love it. I just never did. So I don't do that. And if you look it up, like, so if you Google carnivore coffee, right? There was a while, there's a super keto creamer that our grocery store doesn't carry it anymore. That's why I had to find something new, because I used to get this super keto creamer that I loved, and I drink it every single day. It was my absolute favorite. And then ours doesn't carry it anymore, but I've been doing protein coffee. So I do a whey protein powder mix. I get the Great Value one at Walmart and mix it with milk. And I now love I have a cup of protein coffee in the morning, and like I'm good until we have our meal at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah, heavy whipping cream. Some people do that. Some people just like regular milk, so there's different ones. You can play with it. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get there, right? If you're used to drinking really, really sugary coffee, you might have a slightly more difficult time transitioning just because you've been indulging in a lot of really, really sugary coffee, right? Some of us do. There's no shame in that, just some of us are. So some of us have to go a little bit further. I used to be there, but I've been working on this for so long now that a really sugary drink, I'm like, ew, it's way too sweet. I used to practically just drink creamer with like a splash of coffee, right? Where like now I've just made it, but I've worked at it for a while because I was drinking so much sugar every day with my coffee. So it just takes a little bit of time. And sometimes it takes a little bit, like at first, when I even first switched to like some of this stuff, I didn't like it. And I was like, maybe I'll stop drinking coffee. I don't like this. But then our taste buds are always changing. And so once my body started to realize, ooh, I don't need all this sugar. I don't need all of that, right? Like once that started to change, it was like, oh, I love this. Now, like I crave it. I used to think like, oh, there's no way I could wake up and eat just eggs, or I'm not a big egg person. And then I started doing carnivore, and I like crave eggs, and it's so weird because I never thought I would, but I'm like, some eggs and some bacon for breakfast. That's it. Where I used to always be like a bagel or something bready. Now I'm like, oh, bacon and eggs, sign me up, or whatever. So, right. If you've been doing keto for a while, if you've been doing something like that, then it'll probably be much easier than someone who has not been, whatsoever. And I will say, like, I found, right. You're like, oh, can I just have a steak? And I don't even want anything with it. Like, I just want that. Because your taste buds do change. And the more you heal, like, I do the more, because I started eating a very, very clean diet. And then I started going very clean, but much more plant-based. I still find immense benefit from leaning more carnivore than more plant-based. So eating a very, very clean diet, yes, huge. You think of like Mediterranean diet, right? Like very, very important. I still find that my body does much better when I lean heavier on meats than plant-based things. Um, Especially people, your immunity. I am telling you, this is why I keep talking about Primal Queen. Adding in, I noticed immense benefits from going carnivore. So much healing, weight loss, sleeping better, hormone balancing, right? All of the things. And then adding in Primal Queen now, I'm on month 3, almost 4, something around there. I started doing the Primal Queen supplements. And you guys, seriously, I have a link in all of my videos and you can get a discount. And then use my link whenever you do, and you can get like different things. And then I've been giving away a subscription each month. So you guys can go and do that. But adding the beef organs, I don't want to eat organ meat. I know organ meat is incredibly, incredibly like nutritionally beneficial. I just don't want to eat it. I take the supplements. Wow. Now, if you have a lot of internal healing to do, sometimes it might take you a little bit longer to see results than maybe it took me, but they're still happening, right? Our bodies are all just like at different things. But yeah, like Jennifer said, right? Like your taste buds change. Now she just does coffee with some heavy cream, right? So it's like you do little bit by little bit. I take like a shaker bottle and I put 2 scoops of my protein powder in and I fill it up with milk and I shake it real well. And then I just put that in and do it like I would a coffee creamer, but it's a protein powder and I love it. I have had horrible monthly cycles my entire life. I have PCOS and endometriosis. My cycles are out of control. They're always the most painful. Like I am like near death for a couple weeks every month trying to get through a cycle. And then I like need almost a couple weeks to try to recover from that. And then it starts over again. Like that's been my life cycle my whole life. Since taking Primal Queen, I now am regulating. So like my cycles are happening when they're supposed to, which I've never had my entire life. I don't feel like I'm dying the entire time. Like I can't believe how much better. I'm like, this is it. Like this is nothing. And like, so again, it's you start fueling your body with the nutrients that God gave us and they work. It might take time, right? Some of us, we all are different. We all have different things, but you start seeing those things happening and you're like, hold the phone. What? This is amazing, right? Why didn't I do this so long ago? That's how I feel. And that's why I'm like, yes, everybody, beef organs, like come take these supplements, start fueling your body, balancing your hormones. And the more your hormones start to balance and your inflammation goes away and all of those things, you're going to be like, right? Like, what? I had no idea life was like this, or at least that's how I felt because I tell my husband all the time, I go, honey, I would much rather be in labor because at least in labor, you know that like it is going to end and you get a baby out of it, right? I feel like I'm in labor, but sometimes it lasts days, sometimes it lasts weeks. I never know which. And it's just miserable the whole time, right? And that's where I am so thankful that between diet changes, supplement changes, right? Things like that, it's like, wow, this is so much better. I am finally seeing progress and I just have a whole new lease on life, genuinely, because you feel better. Just like when it's really, really hot in summer and everybody's cranky and miserable, and then fall shows up and you're like, I can sit outside. I feel better now. I want to feel better, like internally, because I'm sick of hurting. I don't like feeling miserable all the time. So yeah, I feel like carnivore made a huge change, and then adding the supplements just like magnified it. But I feel like it would work the other way. Like maybe if you're not ready to go carnivore and like totally change your diet up, take the supplements at least so your body starts getting that. You might have some things where maybe it's not the best because you're not eating the best, but at least it would be better. You know what I mean? So like if you can only do carnivore, only do carnivore. If you can only take the supplements, only take the supplements. If you can do both, right? ta-da, that's like even more. Just like carnivore, if carnivore or like the supplements, like if they're kind of pricey, we'll only take one a day instead of two a day. And now that supplement lasts for 2 months instead of 1 month. You might not see the results as quickly or as intensely, but it's still going to be better than not taking any, because it's just a natural substance that God has given us. So some of it is going to help. If my kids get sick, I load them up on oregano oil, right? If I take it every day, it'll maintain that. But if I haven't taken it and I'm sick, I'm just going to take a bunch of oregano oil and I'm going to let it start filling up my system, really preload it, and then I'm going to start feeling better. I think it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. Yep. I was hoping to see weight related things when I did carnivore. I saw a lot right away. And then it kind of plateaued. But the internal healing was helping so much. And that I'm like an emotional eater. When I get stressed, I will just start like binge eating things, because that's how I process the I'm stressed. I don't know what to do. I have way too many things. I just eat all kinds of junk. And then I feel miserable because then I sat there and I ate all this stuff and my body hurts and I just don't feel good. And then things aren't fitting well. And then it's like that vicious cycle that you go around. So when I really took a hold of that and said, okay, I'm going to get serious about what I'm eating, I saw weight loss. And then that like reinforced the, oh, good, I'm in the right direction. Well, then it really plateaued, but I was feeling physically so much better because that internal healing was happening, that it was like, oh, okay, I haven't lost any more weight, but I'm feeling so much better that like, I don't care how much I weigh. Like, I'm glad I'm feeling better. And then all of a sudden one day I just like all this weight just like fell off. And it was like, oh, wow, all this internal stuff started happening, and then external things could happen too, because we all want both things to happen, but the internal is just really, really important, right? Because it doesn't matter. Just like our hearts, I could look really nice on the outside. If my heart's far from the Lord, it doesn't matter. I want to feel put together, like I want to feel good on the outside, but I really need the internal stuff to be healthy and healed, because that's what, really, really matters. And so the more you work on these things, you do that. For me, I loved carnivore, and I stick with carnivore or even like ketovore, where I bring in some plant foods, because I feel so much better. I will probably continue to eat this way. I did it once as just a challenge of like, hey, let's do this for 30 days. But I felt so good and was seeing so many improvements that I was like, I'm going to keep doing that, because I see how much better I feel when I do that. So now it's not really a struggle to not eat certain things, because I look at them and I go, no, thank you. Like, I know how that makes me feel. I don't even miss it. It's like having really, really sugary coffee drinks. I don't crave them because I don't miss them anymore. If I go out somewhere and get a coffee and it's sugary than like I expected it to be, I'm like, ew, that's nice, but like it's too much. I don't miss that, And so I think that that's part of it, is the more we heal and the more we go through this, you really start to like feel that. And then it's so nice. Like now I'm like, I will never miss my Primal Queen supplements, because I'm seeing how much they're helping in so many different things that I'm like, ooh, wow, that is nice, right? It's like when you wake up the one day, Kaylee, and you hurt, and you're like, ooh, I used to feel this way every day, but I don't anymore. So feeling it today feels really, really bad, because I don't feel it all the time. I kind of feel it's that way, where it's like my hormones are balancing, different things are getting so much better. My skin's getting so much better. My hair's getting right. All these different things, my immune system's building right. All of these things start working, and you're like, ooh, I'll stick with that. Gladys, I am telling you that if you go and you look, you can sign up for the carnivore challenge, and I link some resources to some other channels and stuff too. But what really got me with carnivore, and again, not that everybody has to carnivore. You don't want to do carnivore, don't do carnivore. I lean more ketovore once I go through the cycle, but I saw so many people's testimonies of how much it changed their health, especially excess weight, things like that, that it was like, wow, to me, that is far more impactful than any surgery or anything or whatever. Because it's from scratch eating real food that you make, that you know what's in it, will always be a million times better than something you go and buy. Always. It will never not be the right option, right? We all do the best with what we have. I have found that if I consume more meat than anything else, I feel the best. Our bodies process meat better than anything else. It takes less work on our body's part to process the meat than it does a plant product of any sort. That's just how our bodies work. So while I eat some plant-based foods now, I do so after I spent a time of being really strict carnivore to really let my body heal. And isn't that so cool, class? Like how random, right? That this is where we end up sometimes in these lives. And I know I need to let you all go, but like sometimes you end up here and you're like, this is exactly where I needed to be today. Look up Ken Berry. And I do, if you sign up for the carnivore link in any of the regular videos, you'll see the link in the bottom in any of my recent videos. You can click it and it'll give you a link. It gives you a page. You can bookmark it. And there's a bunch of different resources. And we're going to continue to just keep adding resources in there so that way you guys can get them all month long. But there is, you have these different things that you can try, and then you start to see what works for you. Like I found what works for me, you'll find what works for you, right? And we put all these pieces together and look how God works, right? And the more we start to feel better, like physically, I think that impacts the mental and the spiritual and all the other pieces to it. And so that's why this stuff is important. That's why we can be on Heavenly Minded Home talking about what we're eating, because it all is connected and it all has an impact. And I think it really does matter. And Kaylee, I've done that too. My kids will get something for like a treat. And I'm like, let me try a bite of that. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Thank you. I'm good now. Like I saw that and I was like, ooh, my daughter one day, she got oatmeal cream pies. I have not had an oatmeal cream pie since I was in like the 7th grade. And my grandmother used to get them and I had them all the time and I loved them. I took a bite and went, okay. But the other day she made from scratch oatmeal cream pies. And I tried a bite of that. And I was like, that was actually really, really good. And it is nothing like obviously what you get in a package, because eating from scratch will always be better. Oh, good. Thank you, Kaylee, for sending that. Well, Gladys, we'll be lifting you up. Let's all be lifting her up in prayer too, because it is, I think, quite often we have these thoughts, and that's why we have to take them captive and say, hey, the Lord is not putting that thought into your head, because the Lord does not think like that. And so how can we take that? And I think it's important that we take God's creation that he gave us to heal, right? Like he gave us stuff to heal with. And so the more we learn about these things and say, oh, wow, like I can really heal from this. I can really have a big change from this. I want to go do that. That's what I'm going to work through. So good. Well, ladies, you guys are the best. And thank you for hanging out with me this morning. And I'm so excited to give you an update all week long with all the stuff. I'm like, I can't wait to hop on and give you guys an update. You guys continue to pray for all of these amazing requests that we've had here. If you have anything, you need anything, let me know. I know there's a lot that we just did with biblical womanhood and all the videos we put out this summer in the happy homemaking episodes to kind of complement those. So everything's out, everything's there for you guys. If you guys need anything, just let me know. Dates is a great way to sweeten stuff. If you're looking for something, there's so many natural alternatives that we can go to. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of learning and trying, and sometimes it just takes making it our new go-to, right? You get so used to your go-to being one thing that sometimes it just takes a little while to get a new routine, to get a new system. And that's okay, right? We get there and it's all a season and we work on it. Oh yeah. You look back now and you see, like, even biblically, like to have fruit, like it was such a treat. It was such a dessert. I look at, like, you look at things on like traditional French eating and things like that, or just different countries, like different ways that people do something. You're like, oh, how could that be a treat? And then you reset your taste buds, you go through those processes like a carnivore challenge. And you're like, ooh, I see that now, because our kids' favorite treat doing carnivore is some fresh berries with fresh whipped cream. And we're like, I don't need anything else. That was like the perfect thing. The sweetest treat, perfect, right? Like that's it. I don't need all that stuff I used to think I needed, because this is my favorite. That totally does it. So yes, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Lots of stuff out. You guys can go and enjoy that. If you have any questions, need anything, let us know. Feel free to ask questions on any video and leave a coffee cup by it, because yes, we will definitely be getting back to chatty coffee dates. And I am so, so, so excited for that. I have missed them immensely. So yes, yeah, Whole30 is very, very, very similar. For me, it just has too many steps and too many pieces, and eat meat, don't eat other things was just way simpler. So that's what I did, because I like simple. I'm not as put together as all of that sometimes. So I'm like, what's the simplest I can make it? That's what I want to do. Yes. Well, thank you guys. I'm so glad you all were here. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I cannot wait to see you in the next one. I love you all. Praying for you guys. And I'll see you all in wherever I see you. Yes, I will go give Sabrina a hug for you guys right now. And I promise I didn't put her on blast today, but I'm going to get her in here. So don't worry. You guys will get all of that soon, because I am the intrusive, encouraging friend. All right. Love you all. See you in the next one. Bye, friends.